What is up, everyone? We are back again with episode 14. 14. Episode 14. Yeah, 14. Big 1 4. Um, all right, starting right off. From the last episode, Adalia finds them and she basically tells them, "Come with me if you want to live." Adalia takes them to her secret resistance base where the resistance of Northwatch is there. As they get there and they meet the resistance leader, his name is Thomas, and they kind of like Dahlia wonders why Zeos wants Christopher. Spunk thinks it's because he makes dingleberries, but who knows? Dingleberries. But they debate about what to do next, and they kind of go back and forth. And like, should we leave? Should we stay? How should we kill Zeos? This and that. They kind of debate back and forth about that. Uh, man, Adalia, Katie, I really feel because I already don't like losing PCs, but I can only imagine having to lose a PC and then play another PC while everybody else is still mourning the first PC. And that just, God, that would throw me off so much of like having to play another character while everybody still misses your original character. And I mean, of course, you miss your original character because your original character is always the one you put the, I wouldn't say the most thought, but the most feeling into. Like, that's my heart and soul right there, and I'm just gonna push that on in there. But Ferric wants to leave. He tends to have a trend going here. Everything's reversed. Ferric wants to leave. I've always heard that Ferric was a coward, and I just really never, because in combat he looks so scary. So you forget that he never wants to be in combat. So it's going back and listening to this. I'm like, oh yeah, Ferric is kind of like, we should come up with a better plan that doesn't involve us fighting. I see Ferric as the logical thinker, the smart one, and I feel like Ferric at this level is more prepared than anybody else. Anyway, Adalia thinks Zales wants Christopher for some reason, some whatever, but nobody can be too sure about what he really wants. Mirage, he continues to swoon over Evangeline. The boy got problems. The boy, he's got problems. Um, we find out that Zales has killed all the Crystalborn in Northwatch except Idalia. Her name's not Nadalia, it's Idalia. Idalia? She's, somebody's going to tell me I'm saying this wrong. But Idalia. It's with the I, not an N. Idalia, of course, is a part of the resistance. Thomas is the leader. And Ferric reiterates how they could just leave and come back at a later time. Everyone else feels underprepared. A lot of good points get thrown around, like, just leaving or coming out. Mirage, of course, he is like over the hills with Evangeline, and he thinks that they should stay and try to fight and figure out how to help these people. But everybody else is like, we can't do that if we're dead. We need to come up with a better plan, which makes the most logical sense. Um, so they end up casting it to a vote on what to do, staying or saving the city. The vote the vote for staying to save the city wins. Um, so they start to try to solidify a plan to like stop Zeos, whatever. Um, they start getting information about Zeos. Idalia starts telling them like everything she's learned and being undercover for 2 weeks, and then the resistance and everybody starts telling them everything they know about Zeos. Blah blah blah. Major key point is he's obviously some kind of vampire. Um, Through more investigation, you find out that the Resistance doesn't have many supplies or weapons. They have been struggling for quite some time. And just to paint the scene, when you guys when they got there, it was like utterly depressed, utterly like hopeless. There wasn't really much to it. These people were just kind of tired and just they're the last of the Mohicans, you know. Um, Thomas was like, "What do we call you guys?" And this team does not have a name, but Spunk threw out Spunk Busters, and I think that should be in the running, but Ambrose immediately shot it down. Again, the resistance is just like so sad. It's kind of just like, what's the point anymore? Ambrose makes basically food for everybody. Um, Resistance kind of seemed like they've all but given up. There's like no reason for them to fight anymore. They come up with a plan to stop Zeos. They try to come up with a plan. Everybody has their own idea. Mirage was all for kidnapping, and then they were like, "You, who are you gonna kid? Who are you gonna extort? How are you gonna? Who are you gonna torture to prove your point?" And Mirage was like, well, we don't have to actually do it. We just need to make it seem like we would. Whatever. Um, Pickles was like, we could just go out in the street and fight them. It's like, that's a horrible idea. Everybody had horrible ideas. Everybody had horrible ideas on what to do. And Ambrose kind of like lists their ideas, and it was just like, yeah, these are all horrible. Ferric actually had a great idea of using Evangeline's father to help stop Zeos. Just kind of using the leverage of your daughter died from the hand of Zeos, and we like you can stop him, whatever. And this is where we find out that Ambrose is from a military family. He might have mentioned it before, but this is more like, I don't think he did, because everybody was surprised by this. Ambrose was like, my dad is the general of the Ivory Guard. And everybody's like, wait, what? Is this a dream? Like, what are you talking about right now? This is horrible. But yeah, Ambrose's dad is a member of a general of the Ivory Guard, and there's apparently some kind of like monster hunter group for the city that they are in. A lot of paladins and I'm guessing clerics and rangers, definitely rangers. Um, so everybody's just like, yeah, why didn't you mention that earlier? That would have saved us some time. And then Ambrose kind of throws out there like he doesn't trust Evangeline's dad at all. He is a scumbag. Don't trust him. Whatever. The resistance leader is like really sad, really depressed about the whole thing. And interesting. There's more green up here. Anyway, the resistance leader is like just super depressed about the whole thing, and Adalia tried to do like a check in with him, and she just found out like there was no fight left in this person. He was very given up about the whole thing. So eventually they convince everybody like, hey, let's sneak out of here. Let's get all these people who are tired and done fighting out of here. The Dahlia doesn't want to give up so easily. Just she's leaving her home to basically nothing. It's like there's always been a resistance, and it seems like the resistance is about to disband. So that's a little hard when that's what you've been fighting and known all your life. uh yeah, they convince everybody to sneak out and kind of get out of town. The resistance in Northwatch is currently over. Everyone takes what little supplies they have and they leave. Like it wasn't much. Some of the group donated weapons and whatnot, and it wasn't much that they could take, and they left. And that's where the episode ends. Now, as always, these people are amazing role players. They did an amazing job role playing and talking, and I love Carlos DM and all these NPCs. Does a good job, but I feel like this episode, like I've said, like past episodes didn't like move forward at all. I felt like this episode didn't move forward at all, and in fact, it felt like we kind of moved backwards a little bit. Because like, and I know a lot of this has to do with like trying to introduce a new character and get the because when you introduce a new character, you have to rebond the team. Like you got to give the team a reason to trust this person and fight alongside this person. And they did a good job. Carlos did a really good job because I wondered if there was going to be a resistance if Idalia didn't show up. So, but anyway, so that kind of just like played out and everything. But they snuck into the castle. They got caught. Got rescued by the new PC. Immediately left the castle. Stood around at the resistance camp. Debating about what to do about Zeos. Or if they were going to stay or are they going to go. Then they debated about Zeos some more. And it just kind of seemed like it was just a big decision that kept getting tossed back and forth. So they kind of played ping pong with the idea for a while. And then, I mean, that was basically like the last, I don't even want to say the last hour, the last portion of it. Because, I mean, it was like the episode started with them heading back to the resistance camp. With Idalia taking them. Well, she took them somewhere else first, but I think it was like an old building or a house or something, or some kind of room. And then that's when they ended up going to the resistance camp. But it just like they sat there for majority of the time. And it just kind of was like ping pong these ideas back and forth about how do we stop Zeos. And maybe I'm just not one for planning missions. Like, I want to hear the plan, and then I want to see it put in action. Maybe I don't know, but I didn't like this episode. It was still a good episode. DMs were great. Roleplay was great, but nothing happened. I felt like we moved backwards, and I felt like I don't want to say it was important because planning is always important, but I just didn't feel as strongly for this episode versus all the episodes that we had thus far. And I don't want to say I want to blame it on a new character, but like I know you have to get this new character acclimated to the team, and that could be rough at sometimes. So, this episode surprisingly gets the lowest score so far. I'm gonna have to give it 6 hit dice out of 10. This episode just didn't do it for me. All of them can't be winners. And which 6 is still good. Like 6 is still like I enjoyed it. Like I had a good time. It wasn't like bad. Like It wasn't like I didn't like the role play or the stories. I mean, I still laughed at a lot of stuff that happened in the episode. So trying to see my, yeah, 6 was fine. Yeah, 6, that's what I put. 6 was just fine. Um so nothing bad yet. I haven't came across an actual bad episode of Power Word Fail yet. Even 5 is average. Um I would give this episode 6 hit dice out of 10. It just, I've already said my reasoning. I'm just repeating. So still a good episode. Still watch. Still check out the homebrew if you're somehow just jumping in the middle of this. Still an amazing show. So that's all I got to say. I can't think of anything else to say. It's I mean, we've hit our time. We've had our piece. We said our piece here. But as always, you're loved, you're important, and you matter. You guys have a nice night. Bye.